School funding is complicated, controversial, and costly, and it didn't change much after this last legislative session, despite all of the conversations that lawmakers plan to make education funding a priority.
Tonight, the KVUE Defenders uncover what needs to change to help Central Texas schools. Here's Terry Gruca. Mike and Quita, this year Austin ISD will pay more than $500 million to help fund other school districts. Money generated by local property taxes, but sent to poorer ones across the state. Central Texas schools pay the most. It's a system called Robin Hood, developed decades ago as a way to help even the playing field. The idea that wealthier school districts help poorer ones. The critics argue the formulas are making it tougher for our schools.
There you go. Now can I have the 64 crayons? What color do you need?
If only writing the book on school finance were this easy. But staying within the lines in Texas has never been harder.
We're beyond Band-Aids.
Just ask fourth grade teacher Stephanie Stobie.
I'm worried about if we're going to have the appropriate staff in the right positions with the right types of certification and expertise to help our children who need help the most.
As a teacher in Round Rock ISD for the last 10 years, she's seen her district struggle to make ends meet.
We just adopted our fourth deficit budget in the last 6 years.
Randy Statz is the chief financial officer for Round Rock ISD.
To start with this year, we're generating additional tax collections of almost $29 million based on our projections, and we're only able to keep $1 million of that.
Texas set up a system called Robin Hood in 1993. Here's a simplified version of how it's supposed to work. These crayons represent money. The state contributes its share to local schools. Property taxes make up the difference. A formula that back in the day started at nearly 50-50. But over the years, property taxes have continued to rise and state funding has dropped. So instead of contributing 50% to local schools, that share will drop to about 40% next year.
What makes for budgets very challenging.
It's very frustrating.
State lawmakers promised this session things would change. What do you say to parents and educators who feel like you as a lawmaker failed them this time?
I do feel like as a whole the legislature has failed our parents and our taxpayers, and particularly our children, because they are not getting what they need.
Round Rock ISD was able to give teachers and staff 2% raises this past year, but a bond package failed. Austin, Bastrop, Lake Travis, and Leander ISDs are now all asking voters to approve millions of dollars in bonds to help build new schools.
Over time, I've seen, a lot of districts, including Round Rock, that's decreased the amount that's been set aside for that general operating fund because there's just not enough room for it. And so those types of things slide over into the bond.
Even with those extra property taxes, though, we're treading water. The schools aren't getting any more money.
We want to see some primary sources.
Some argue it's now not the Robin Hood system, it's robbing their neighborhoods.
In some ways, I do feel as if the future of our kids is being robbed.
Stobie is hoping to serve on a committee formed by the governor to address school finance. If selected, she'll be the only teacher on a board of 13 expected to meet over the next year.
As resources are taken away from the schools, the common classroom teacher is going to have to step up even more.
Weighing options that include looking at what other states like Colorado do. They use tax dollars from marijuana to help fund education.
We do have such things as the gasoline tax. 5 cents already goes to education, but we've never indexed that to inflation. We could look at what some other states have done where they've actually taxed more on cigarettes and e-cigarettes.
Teachers like Stobie are hopeful finding new sources of revenue could significantly change the future of the students they teach.
I love the excitement in the kids when they get something.
Because at the end of the day, what happens here ultimately paints the future of Texas.
Is this my own, Mom?
Recapture payments contribute about 11% of school funding in Texas. The lottery about the same. So the trick moving forward in the state is going to be finding new sources of revenue. Want to see how much your school district contributes to the Robin Hood system? Check out the link in this story at KVUE.com.